Right,
Okay, education time. Geoff, all yours, mate.
great. Guys, give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen, please. Yep, terrific. Okay, so today, literally, I'm talking about is why your stuff isn't selling and maybe how to fix it today. So here we go, the usual lag. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so who is this guy? There's a bit about me. I've already spoken, but those of you who want to know more, by all means, look at me at LinkedIn. That's only up there just to let you know that you're in good hands, and I've been around the block more than a couple of times. In the spirit of which I do all the education parts here and tips and tricks is there is no rainbows, no unicorns. What you learn and see today, you will be able to take away and start using straight after this meeting if you so desire. For the purposes of the meeting today, if I use the word product or the word service, consider them interchangeable. Products tend to be more tangible things or perishable things, and services tend to be intangible. I get that. But for the sake of today, service or product means exactly the same thing. In other words, it's something you're selling from your business to make some money. So your revenue's down. Well, if your revenue's down, obviously the first question you ask is why? Maybe you've got a sales problem. You know, when revenue's tight or down, the immediate question, the immediate conclusion people jump to is that they've got a sales problem. But sometimes they don't. Maybe they've got a conversion rate problem. Maybe they're getting in front of enough people, but they're just not closing the sale. But usually when you've got a conversion problem and a sales problem, it's your sales process or your sales technique which is lacking. And that will be the conversation for another day, because today I want to be talking about how to fix the perception of your products or services. Usually poor revenue is a byproduct of the perception of your product or service. If your offer isn't converting, it's because it's not different enough. It doesn't solve enough pain, it's not urgent enough, and maybe it's not unique enough. One of the first things you can start doing is looking at your product in the industry or the marketplace you operate in and decide to stop being a commodity. In other words, stop being seen as everyone else in your industry or niche. Start crafting a better and more resistible offer so people can't say no to. Look, it's quite easy to get lost in the crowd. And quite frankly, if your revenue's down and your conversions and sales are down, it's probably because you just look like everyone else. But the key thing is you don't have to be. Anyone can sell programs, masterminds, physical products or whatnot, but the ones that are most successful are people who turn around and work on becoming a category of one. Last week, I spoke a bit about a category of one again. It is probably the most important thing you can do strategically for your business is to figure out how to turn what you do into being a category of one. A category of one has far less competition. Now, I'm aware you can't, not everyone will be able to do it, but if you at least try to do it, you might become one of a category of three, for instance. Less competition there as well. How do you become a category of one? Well, you define the category by the problem that you solve, the solution you provide. You just find your category by how you differentiate and maybe what allies you have. How do you establish it? You tell the story of your category. You launch it. You tell things through your advertising, and you continually get out there into social media. And you own the category by making sure people can see you. And there's lots of things you can do, everything from blogging on Be Connected World website to running a YouTube channel to using Instagram, whatever your poison happens to be. The key thing in a category of one, and if you're going to change the perception of your product and service, is you need to stand out from the rest of the crowd in a good way. In other words, avoid the sleaze. You shouldn't be talking about only a limited quantity available. We have to end the sale by midnight tonight. The boss will kill me if he finds out I'm doing that. This is the secret. They don't want you to. All that BS. That's what amateurs do. And that's why their businesses don't scale. You should be talking benefits and pain relief and the transformation people get by using your product or service. When the value that you provide exceeds the price by, say, 5 or 10 times, people don't think, they buy. If you get this right, you can stop desperately chasing clients, because if you're a category of one that adds a lot of value, people will start coming after you. But of course, for this to work, your product or service needs to deliver on the promise you're making. A key thing, and I see people still messing this up all these years later, is they don't know the difference between a feature and a benefit. I think this slide sums it up quite nicely. A feature is Diet Coke's low calorie. The benefit is you look better than the biatch from accounting at the end of your party. That's pretty clear. All right. But the key thing is you sell on benefits. Features are talk to the logical part of the brain. That's the number of, kilometers per litre that you get in your car. It's how many doors your car's got. It's what the paint job is. All that's features, and that's used by the logical part of your brain. But people buy emotionally, and people buy from benefits. So what's the benefit to me to using your product or service that is probably going to relieve or get rid of some pain, or at least enable me to do something better? In other words, you should focus on not so much the problem. Yes, you have to talk about and acknowledge it, but you should focus on the solution you're providing. So if you want to craft a better offer, you should stop selling your product so much and start selling an offer. And your offer should be and yell about the result the customer gets. If you sell the outcome of clear benefits and as a clear solution to their problem, you're going to be standing out from 90% of the rest of the marketplace. If you speak to their result, whether it's before and after is really, really work. It's very, very important. You must have a clear idea of what their state, what their well-being, what their life is like before they start using your product or service, and how different it is afterwards in a positive way, of course. And of course, this doesn't work if you hit people with too many options. Right? Options tend to be those things I was talking about before, right? They're the features. They tend to be colors and sizes. You can have this car in 16 different colors. You can have 32 different types of herbal teas if you like, but they feature on the features. Rather, they talk about the features, but they don't talk about the outcome, the pain reduction or the transformation. The other mistake people make trying to stand out is they offer the wrong options. They offer leather shoes to vegans. They offer V8 cars to people who want electric cars. They offer vapes to athletes. They mistake their market. To be a category of one, you must understand your market and what it is they're looking for and what lights them up and what turns them off. You should be focusing on adding value and not just stuff. Think about your product or your service. Can you add speed to it so people get a quicker result? Can you add certainty to it so they feel confident that it's going to work for them? Can you make it exclusive so they can't get it anywhere else? Can you add scarcity, honest scarcity to it so that it's not for everyone, or there is generally just a limited number available? Can you add risk reversal? This is one of the big things. Can you offer 100% satisfaction guarantee on your product? Can you offer them, a percentage of money back? Can you de-risk using your product? The other thing you can think about doing is, can you give them lifetime access? Maybe if you're running a course or a coaching thing, you can offer them access to a bi-weekly Q&A call for 90 days. Maybe it's a private accountability group. Maybe there's just this money back guarantee if they don't get results. They're the things that make an offer when you're in a category of one. The idea is you should understand your category of one. You should understand the problem you solve and how you solve it, who you solve it for. And then you should stack up so many benefits. You make the value so compelling that the cost of it becomes almost irrelevant. Wrap up your offer in results and benefits so the perceived value of it makes it feel way underpriced. So if you want to make sense of all that and you'd like a hand, it's really simple. Let's have a chat. There's already a link in the chat box in my little blurb there if you want to have one. There's a number of people on these calls who've already had the free call with me. If you'd like one yourself or even a second one, please book in a call and we'll have a chat about maybe how we can make your product or service shine or stand out as a category of one. Thank you.